Is the Galaxy Fold a fundamentally flawed product? Has Samsung won the race to the first proper foldable phone at the cost of reliability? Those are the ultimate questions as the company deals with its latest PR nightmare around Galaxy Fold displays failing already in the handful of review units that are out there. So you might have heard about several cases of well-known journalists and YouTubers whose Galaxy Folds have been experiencing issues, and there are two distinct issues at play here, only one of which might actually turn out to be quite serious. So let's start with problem number 1, the built-in display protector. Now, a lot of devices these days come with pre-fitted screen protectors, and many of us want to remove them right away for a nicer in-hand feel when you're using a shiny new phone. The only problem is the Galaxy Fold's display protector is a baked-in part of the screen and not intended to be removed. A warning to that effect will be included with retail units of the Fold, but it seems that message didn't quite make it through to every Galaxy Fold reviewer. People like Mark Gurman and MKBHD aren't new to reviewing phones, yet both thought that this plastic layer was supposed to be peeled off, and you can bet the same will be true for some excited Galaxy Fold owners when they unbox their new phones. Removing the display protector doesn't just make the screen less durable, it actually does mess up the screen, permanently. $2,000 down the drain, done. That said, the solution here is consumer education and not necessarily a flaw in the actual product. Plus, this first wave of publicity means if you're one of the early adopters splashing out on a Fold, you now know not to take that display protector off. And if you forget, you'll have this reminder waiting for you in the box. Now onto problem number 2, which is potentially the far more serious one. Of the very small handful of review devices out there, so far 2 have had their displays spontaneously break during normal use. Once again, we're talking about the internal tablet-sized display here, not the phone screen on the exterior of the device. The story was broken by Dieter Bohn at The Verge, whose device developed a weird bulge behind the screen around the hinge area, which eventually broke the foldable OLED panel. In his article, Bohn says, "My best guess is that it's a piece of debris, something harder than lint for sure. It's possible it's something else though, like the hinge itself on a defective unit pressing up on the screen." Later, he says the bulge eventually pressed sharply enough into the screen to break it. He also mentions that one possibility is a piece of molding clay used to prop up the phone during The Verge's video shoot, making its way into the innards of the phone through the action of the hinge. Still, it's unclear how exactly this happened. Dieter Bohn says that other than what I've just mentioned, he's been using the phone normally. Next up is CNBC's Todd Haselton, who has a different issue with no obvious cause. When unfolded, his Galaxy Fold's internal display is dim around the hinge and flickers on and off on the left section, while the top part of the right section is covered in coloured lines. It's pretty obviously defective, though not clear as to why. A statement from Samsung promises to thoroughly inspect the problematic phones to determine the cause, but doesn't say much more than that. For what it's worth, neither of our review units have had these problems, though AC Managing Editor Daniel Bader notes that there's a subtle jelly scrolling issue due to a discrepancy between the refresh rates of both sides of the screen. But when it comes to phones straight up breaking, we're dealing with very small numbers here, which makes any kind of detailed analysis very hard. Sometimes the first units off the production line do have issues. For sure though, having 2 high-profile screen failures so soon after review units first went out is not a good look. For Samsung in particular, it could have done without such a high-profile quality control issue, and of course on Twitter and elsewhere the spectre of the Galaxy Note 7 is already being raised. We're nowhere near a Note 7 level situation yet. Sure, a product that's flawed by design is the nightmare scenario. The concern will be that the tech behind either the hinge or the display or both simply isn't reliable yet. That, even after 8 years, the Fold needs a little longer in the oven. Alternatively, perhaps, these are just a couple of early defective samples and once phones actually start shipping to regular people, everything will be fine. Only time will tell which one is the case. After all, the numbers are small, and devices have been in hands for just a couple of days at this point. Samsung, for its part, says the April 26th launch will go ahead as planned, so until then, we'll be watching and waiting. Hit the comments to let us know what you think of these early Galaxy Fold problems, and subscribe for the rest of our coverage here on YouTube. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.